I thought tonight, in the second half in particular, our defense really stepped up. I thought, we did a really good job of stepping up. It got a little close, and then we really kind of locked down and, turned them over, got out in transition, and, we were able to hold them 21 points in the second half. It all starts with our defense, and I thought that was the difference. I thought J.J., first I want to congratulate J.J. for going over 1,000 points tonight. He's been a rock since he's been here, and we're just very fortunate to have a player like him. I enjoy coaching him and just watching him grow over the years. So again, well deserved, and then you could just say he's just getting started up, rounding into form. I thought Nate George had another back-to-back great game. Again, that's when you talk about our backcourt. That's what how we envision it. And then Sadiq White, I thought, was really big today. I thought he was very active. Got on the glass, finished around the rim. Really was disruptive on defense. And so again, I thought those. I thought that was a difference. In the second half was a difference. That was a difference. Questions?
When you talk about J.J. rounding in the floor, obviously he's not scoring as many points as he did last year on average. But what are you talking about when you say rounding the floor? What are you looking at?
Just, when you look at a stat line, obviously scoring, getting other people involved, being a leader out there, really just kind of directing and guiding, and the guys, they follow him. He's the leader. Rebounds, steals. Again, I just think he's really grown on both sides of the floor now. And I think that's the impact that I'm saying. That's where I've seen him really grow the most, and just growing up into being a leader. I think every good team has to have a leader. And he's our leader. And then I thought today he was very vocal, level 5, talking to his teammates, pointing, talking, encouraging everybody. And that's what he has to do, not only score, but, he has to do a lot for us. And I think, he's growing into that role. And I've seen him grow a lot from the summertime.
Adrian, I'm assuming you're going to let your guys go home for a couple of days. And, I don't know when the last time all these guys went home, but is it going to be nice for them to have a little break from you, from everybody else, for a couple of days?
It's going to be a really nice break. They are going home. They got some days off. Again, I thought these guys, for the first part of the non-conference, we've learned a lot about our team. I thought, so I know that they need a break, especially the way we ended up these last, I think 5 games in 11 days, something like that. So again, I'm sure that they're looking forward to getting back home and not hearing my voice and hearing level 5 and all those other challenges. All right.
Red, you talked last couple games about trying to get this team to play a complete 40 minutes. Did you see that from your team tonight? And if not, how close are you guys to getting that full 40 minutes?
I think every time we play, we get just a little bit closer to it. I thought the first half, they got 11 or 13 points off of us not getting a rebound, right? And they got 3 threes. Like, that can't happen. So, the first half, I wouldn't say that. I thought the second half, even then we still had some dips, but we recovered a lot better in the second half where we got some stops. We got a couple of stops in a row, and we turned those into points, and then we just kind of settled in. But still not there. Again, we're going to keep trying for it. But the way this team has recovered, from all the games that we've been in, that's been the biggest thing that I've been really surprised and happy about. Just, even when they do make a mistake, they bounce back and get back and recover and get to the next play.
So what are those things, right, when you get back from that break, going into ACC play where the margin of error gets slimmer, and the things you'll be emphasizing going into conference play?
Continually, obviously the intensity, I think it's things that we continually need to clean up and to continue to improve on both ends of the floor. But it's all going to come down to energy, connectivity, battling, and trying to eliminate those dips. And if you want to get more specific, we got to continually take care of the basketball. We got to continually work and improve on our free throw shooting because, the games will be close. So, we got to continue to improve on that. And, a lot of things, continue our fight and make our fight consistent. That's really it, right? Really being consistent with our fight and continually improve, offensively as well.
Coach, when you're talking about that level of level 5, the second half of 16-point run. Is that kind of getting to that point of a team level 5?
Yeah, you know, when you're out there and, you know, you got guys flying around and talking and covering for each other, and then we finished the possession, you know, I thought that the level of talk was really good in the second half. And typically it's hard for us to see because we're away from them, but I just seen them pointing and talking and huddling and dapping and just, you know, connecting and touching, and that was good. You know, they were huddling up every time the whistle was blown, right? They were focused, locked in. So that's the level 5 as far as the focus, intensity, and chatter that we need to have moving forward.
From the fans as well, do they kind of hit a level 5 as well?
You know, every now and then, you know, and I will say this as we move forward, you know, this team is going to need the fans, right? And, you know, for them to play a level 5, we need to make this place loud. In particular, our next game, we need the fans to be at a level 5 because, you know, that our team needs that. They get energy off of that, and that's going to be big moving forward in ACC play. You know, these guys are gassing out. So, you know, I ask, you know, we need our fans, we need our students, we need everybody to come into this building and be at a level 5, you know, and I'm sure that they'll see, you know, they'll get that reciprocated with this group of guys.
Coach, your guards did a lot of slashing tonight and getting to the basket. Was that an emphasis coming in?
Yeah, you know, we thought, we thought just about some of the defense, the way they played and the way they defended certain actions, we thought we can get in there and get into the paint. And, you know, our guards are a little bit bigger, and I thought they did a really good job of getting into the paint, playing off of 2 feet, making good decisions, and actually finishing. You know, we finished well the last couple of games with our guards in the paint.
What have you seen out of Nathan George especially? He's really taken a bigger role scoring-wise the last 2 games.
Yeah, I think he's starting to settle down. I see him being more decisive. You know, I thought he made, you know, plays, and he was just more decisive and, you know, just getting a feel for the offense. I just really thought that he was really steady the last couple of games.
So he gave you a pretty good game tonight. Yeah. In what ways has he been able to improve during this time when Donnie's not been there?
I mean, playing time, you know, he's been able to see, you know, what it takes to play in high-level games. He's got a chance to experience out in Vegas. So, you know, the one thing about our non-conference, when I look at it, you know, with Sadiq and Kyan, I thought they got valuable playing time. And, you know, when you go into, you know, conference play, sometimes, especially with freshmen, you don't really know yet, you know, depending on how your schedule is. But we've had 5 or 6 really, you know, Power 4 games, and then some close ones that wasn't Power 4. So they've been in some wars, and I think they've grown, and they've got tremendous experience. I think, you know, Sadiq today, you know, to talk to him about getting to the glass, and he's responded the last couple of games, at least 2 out of the last 3 to get into the glass. That's where he can help us at. But the experience that he's gotten, you know, being able to play while Donnie is out is going to really help us in the long run. That's what you talk about, having real depth. All right, now I know I can go to these guys once we get into ACC play because they don't play against some of the best teams in the country. You know, it's non-conference.
Coach, on that note, you guys do expect Donnie back against Clemson. What's the most valuable thing that he's going to bring back to this team?
You know, you talk about a guy that's versatile, 6'10", 6'11", that can stretch the floor, you know, has experience, can pass it, can score, you know, defend. So it's going to really allow us to be, you know, more versatile. You know, it's going, you know, again, a guy that we depend on. You know, he's a matchup problem. He's hard to guard, and you know, he's just going to make it the court a lot more open. All right, and then defensively, he's a guy. You know, you talking about now, you can really switch. You know, be switchable, you know, be able to, you know, bother people, and then you add another good rebounder, right? And that's where we've kind of fought in battles, you know, but he's a good rebounder, so that's going to help us a lot.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas to everybody.